Greetings, and welcome to the Fact of Earth. You may feel you already understand Donald Trump. His name resonates across continents. Yet, how much of his vast and often paradoxical journey truly remains veiled? Beyond the familiar narratives and bold headlines, profound depths of detail await your gentle discovery. Tonight, we gently pull back the curtain. We invite you on a tranquil exploration of 100 unique facts about Donald Trump that not everyone knows. Picture an unfolding tapestry, woven with threads of the unexpected. It reveals intricate patterns beneath the surface of his well-known persona. You will journey through the quiet corridors of his early ambitions, trace the subtle shifts that shaped his extraordinary path from developer to global leader. Somewhere within his story, you will encounter echoes of forgotten ventures, discover the surprising origins of certain eccentricities, observe the often unseen moments that have carved his distinctive trajectory. It feels as though we are sifting through the sands of time. We uncover almost imperceptible elements. These contribute to a larger, more complex portrait of this influential individual. This is an exploration not of judgment, nor sensationalism. Instead, it offers quiet understanding. We trace the subtle contours of a life lived so intensely in the public eye. Deep inside these narratives, you might find a new perspective, perhaps a different shade of appreciation for the intricate nature of human experience. Let us now begin this serene exploration into 100 quiet truths. Imagine the glittering casino floor, a place where fortunes are made and lost. Deep inside one of his early Atlantic City ventures, Donald Trump once conceived a peculiar financial innovation. He sought to install ATMs capable of accepting casino chips, instantly converting them into cash. You might picture the convenience, a direct bridge from gaming table to wallet. Regulators, however, swiftly blocked this unusual experiment as too radical. This audacious idea, largely forgotten by time, remains a quiet whisper in his business history. It feels as though the memory of those phantom machines still lingers, a forgotten blueprint beneath the surface. You might recall how some figures in history are often defined by their grand gestures or their public pronouncements. Yet, sometimes, the quietest details offer the most revealing insights into their private world, even within the highest office. During his presidency, Donald Trump had a striking red button placed conspicuously on his Oval Office desk. This was not an alert for a global emergency or a direct line to military command. Instead, a single, deliberate press of this button would instantly summon a fresh Diet Coke. Picture this small, vivid circle of red, a stark contrast to the weighty documents surrounding it. It feels as though a personal, almost whimsical, oasis existed within the solemnity of the nation's highest office. You realize that even amidst immense power and responsibility, the pursuit of simple, familiar comfort remains. It is a quiet reminder that the simplest things sustain us, even in the most demanding roles. Deep inside the White House, such subtle habits often reveal more than grand speeches ever could. Beyond the familiar narratives, you often discover a quiet dedication to image. Imagine walking through one of Donald Trump's golf clubs. Among the polished wood, you might notice framed magazine covers. These weren't always genuine issues of Time. Some were carefully crafted fakes, prominently featuring Donald Trump on the front. This was a personal touch, a silent declaration of his perceived stature. Guests would surely see them. Reporters later uncovered this subtle self-promotion, revealing a meticulous attention to his public story. It feels as though a private gallery of aspiration had been made public. This became a quiet testament to a carefully curated image. Such a detail, small as it appears, paints another stroke. It shows a man forever shaping his own narrative. Allow this image to settle as the quiet unfolds around you. Beneath the public persona, a figure often seen as unyielding, unexpected currents flow. Imagine a specific, almost primal apprehension few would attribute to Donald Trump, a profound fear of sharks. This isn't merely a casual dislike. His aversion extends to donating against shark conservation groups, a detail often overlooked. It feels as though the vast, silent depths of the ocean, with its unseen predators, stir a unique discomfort. Picture the contrast. His public image of control versus this private, visceral reaction to powerful creatures. Such a specific, almost elemental, fear quietly reveals another layer in the intricate mosaic of human nature. You might imagine the public life of Donald Trump unfolds along predictable lines. Yet, some moments reveal a surprising, theatrical flair. Picture WrestleMania 23, a stage where a peculiar spectacle unfurled. Donald Trump, then a prominent businessman, engaged in a staged bet with WWE owner Vince McMahon. The wager's resolution saw Trump personally shave McMahon's head clean. It became a moment strangely etched into pop culture history. It felt as though the boundary between high-stakes business and pure entertainment blurred. The wrestling ring transformed into a different kind of arena for him. Imagine the collective gasp and roar of the crowd as the Clippers whirred. That sound echoed a unique blend of audacity and calculated showmanship. This singular event, a public display of hair and ambition, reminds you of his unconventional approach. Such footnotes often whisper quieter truths within a much larger story. You might imagine the Oval Office holds many secrets, some far beyond earthly concerns. During his time as president, Donald Trump received classified briefings concerning unidentified aerial phenomena, often called UFOs. These detailed reports from the Pentagon described encounters that defied conventional explanation. You recall how he later mused about interesting things he knew, yet he chose to keep these specific details veiled from public view. It feels as though a whisper from another realm passed through the highest corridors of power, leaving a lingering question. Imagine the weight of information contained within those secure documents, charting movements in skies above. The quiet hum of the universe continues, holding its own countless enigmas. You may wonder what truths remain just beyond our reach. You might consider the most visible of endeavors, yet, within his extensive business history, a subtle current once flowed. Imagine a bottled water brand, Trump Ice, which commanded attention in Atlantic City casinos. For a time, it even outsold established competitors, creating a surprising wave in a crowded market. Then, without clear explanation, this venture quietly receded. It vanished much like a fleeting mirage in the desert heat. It feels as though its success was as transient as the water it contained. Only a quiet ripple remains now in the vast ocean of commerce. The brand's sudden prominence and subsequent disappearance forms a curious footnote. It reminds you that not all ventures leave a permanent mark. This soft fading invites you to ponder the ephemeral nature of certain enterprises. You have seen how certain personal rhythms define a life, even in the public eye. Insiders often mentioned Donald Trump's notable preference for Diet Coke, a habit that became almost legendary. He was reported to drink up to a dozen cans each day, a consistent daily intake. These would frequently arrive on polished silver trays, presented even amidst critical meetings. Picture the subtle clink of ice, a consistent, familiar sound in rooms of intense discussion. It feels as though this simple, carbonated ritual offered a brief, quiet, personal pause in a demanding schedule, a small, fizzy anchor in the shifting currents of his days. Such small, unwavering habits often form the silent, unspoken pulse of a busy existence. You let this image of a quiet, repeated gesture gently recede as shadows lengthen around you. You might recall how a simple line, drawn with intent, can reshape a complex narrative. Imagine a quiet room, official forecasts hanging in the air. Donald Trump, during a hurricane briefing, once took a black Sharpie to an official map. With a single stroke, he extended the storm's projected path, seemingly by hand, to include a specific area. This small, deliberate act became a visual shorthand, a single brushstroke defining a particular approach to information. It was as if a personal edit had been made to the future, a moment captured in the stillness of a photograph. The ensuing media storm was not just about the weather, but about the very nature of authority and perception. It etched itself into memory, a distinctive chapter in the unfolding story of his public persona. The lines on the map fade now, leaving only the impression of a distinct style. As you drift, this quiet image of a map and a Sharpie remains, a subtle thread in the tapestry of facts you are gathering. You might recall the expansive scope of Donald Trump's entrepreneurial spirit, yet not every venture found its enduring place in the market. Imagine a high-end spirit brand, conceived by a man who, by his own admission, has never consumed alcohol. In 2006, Donald Trump launched Trump Vodka, a distinctive foray into the competitive world of luxury beverages. This decision struck many as an intriguing paradox, considering his lifelong personal commitment to sobriety. The bottles themselves were designed to evoke opulence, often displayed as symbols of a certain aspirational lifestyle. However, despite a significant initial marketing push and considerable public attention, the brand struggled to establish a firm foothold. Within just a few short years, Trump Vodka quietly ceased production, gradually disappearing from store shelves and public consciousness. It stands as a subtle testament that even the most recognized names cannot always ensure a product's lasting success. You perceive how some endeavors, much like a fleeting whisper on the wind, can simply fade away. You might imagine the many ventures undertaken throughout a notable career. In 1989, a unique project emerged from his portfolio. A board game called Trump. The game, it sought to capture the essence of his business world, much like Monopoly. However, its reception was less than stellar, leading to a swift removal from store shelves. It was as if the intricate rules of real estate proved too complex for a cardboard square. Imagine the quiet shelves where unsold copies rested, a testament to a venture that simply did not find its players. Every endeavor, brand or small, leaves its own distinct mark upon the timeline of a life. You feel the gentle turning of the cosmic clock, marking each attempt and outcome. Beyond the familiar narratives of real estate and media, you discover another facet of Donald Trump's expansive reach. For nearly 2 decades, his name became synonymous with the Miss Universe pageant. You might picture him backstage, a silent architect overseeing its glittering spectacle. He personally approved many controversial changes, shaping the event's public face. It felt as though the very criteria for beauty and presentation shifted under his direct gaze. This hands-on approach extended to the smallest details, creating a unique blend of business and showmanship. A quiet understanding settles upon you of how even unexpected ventures can reflect a singular vision. You might not expect a formal setting to embrace the everyday, yet sometimes the most surprising moments unfold. In 2019, Donald Trump hosted a White House team with an unexpected spread of McDonald's and Burger King. He famously described this gathering as an all-American meal. This choice emerged during a government shutdown, a time when White House chefs were furloughed. Such circumstances led to a truly unique presidential dining experience. Imagine the array of Big Macs and Whoppers, served on silver platters, blending high office with humble, familiar fare. It is a quiet reminder that even in the highest offices, familiar comforts can find a place. You can almost taste the quiet crunch of fries, a detail echoing through time. You might recall the echoes of ambition, the desire to leave an indelible mark upon the world. You then notice how Donald Trump, in his pursuit of global recognition, meticulously sought to protect his very name. Hundreds of trademarks were filed across the globe, spanning industries from casinos to lingerie. This comprehensive effort extended far beyond real estate, reaching into unexpected realms like bottled water, steaks, and even a proposed line of women's intimate apparel. It was as if he envisioned his name as a silent orchestra, playing across every facet of commerce, a constant hum in the background of daily life. Such a widespread claim reveals a deep understanding of branding, a quiet assertion of ownership in a noisy, competitive world. As you consider the vast tapestry of a public figure, small personal threads often emerge, each revealing a subtle, deeper pattern. You might notice a distinct preference in President Trump's approach to autographs. He consistently chooses a thick, black Sharpie pen for his signature. This tool has become almost synonymous with his public image. The Sharpie creates a bold, instantly recognizable mark, standing apart from the often finer scripts of other leaders. It feels as though each deliberate stroke carries a unique weight, a visual echo of his assertive public presence. The deep, dark ink ensures his name always stands out, an unmistakable declaration on any item it graces. This choice forms a subtle, yet consistent part of his visual language, a quiet statement, speaking volumes without uttering a single word. Such unique habits, like distant lanterns, illuminate aspects of his character. They offer a steady glow, inviting a closer look into his world. Picture the iconic pavement of Hollywood, where many legends leave their mark, a place often associated with enduring fame. You might not immediately connect that glittering stretch with the figure of Donald Trump. Yet, in 2007, a star bearing his name was indeed unveiled upon that very walk. This distinctive honor was bestowed upon him not for political aspirations, but specifically for his executive producer role on the widely watched television series The Apprentice. It feels as though a fragment of one grand narrative, a story of entertainment, became permanently embedded within a vastly different public saga. The polished brass and pink terrazzo remain, a quiet, almost forgotten symbol of a time before the world knew him in another light. You might ponder how the diverse threads of a single life can weave together in such unexpected patterns, forming a complex tapestry of public identity. You often sense the subtle currents that guide grand events. Somewhere within this quiet influence, Donald Trump reportedly shaped beauty pageant interview questions. As owner, he sometimes introduced topics deemed unusual or truly unexpected. This approach sought to test a contestant's spontaneous, unrehearsed responses, moving beyond mere surface charm. Imagine the bright lights, the poised anticipation, then a question far from typical pageant expectations. It was as if a quiet, psychological probe unfolded on stage, seeking to uncover genuine thought. This tested not just prepared answers, but the raw essence of their intellect and composure. You realize how one distinct question can illuminate an entire personality. Much like a fleeting shadow reveals a hidden form, this quiet observation lingers in the mind. It persists long after the final crown is awarded, a silent echo of true character. You might recall the grand promises of earlier ventures, echoing across a different landscape. Among these, a particular institution, Trump University, once sought to teach the secrets of his business success, yet, Its journey concluded amidst a cascade of lawsuits, alleging deceptive practices and fraud. Ultimately, Donald Trump agreed to a $25 million settlement, a quiet resolution without any admission of wrongdoing in court. Imagine the hopeful faces, drawn by the promise of exclusive knowledge, only to find the curriculum questioned in courtrooms. It was as if a grand academic hall, built on aspirational blueprints, slowly dissolved into a legal mist. The settlement served as a silent agreement, closing the chapter on a venture that once bore his name with academic ambition. The echoes of that dispute now fade into the vast archive of his public life, leaving only a subtle imprint. You can feel the quiet turning of pages as another story concludes. You might imagine Manhattan's grand projects often involve unexpected delays. Yet, somewhere within the city's bustling heart, you discover a different kind of story, unfolding in the mid-1980 seconds. Donald Trump stepped in to oversee the long-stalled renovation of Central Park's iconic Woolman Rink. This project had been plagued by years of inaction. Its completion arrived remarkably ahead of schedule. Furthermore, it finished significantly under its allocated budget. It was as though the very gears of municipal progress had found a new, precise rhythm under his direction. Imagine the city's surprise as this space, once a symbol of inertia, transformed with unexpected swiftness. New Yorkers could once again glide across the fresh ice, much sooner than anyone had anticipated. You feel the gentle chill of the rink air, a quiet reminder of aligned timelines and decisive action. The memory of skates carving patterns on new ice remains, a subtle ripple in the larger narrative. You might trace his public persona through towering buildings and television screens, imagining a clear path for his ambitions. Yet, an unseen ambition once led him to a different kind of arena. In 2014, Donald Trump quietly pursued the acquisition of the Buffalo Bills, a storied franchise in the National Football League. His attempt, however, did not align with the vision of the league's existing owners, and the bid was ultimately turned away. Picture the world of professional sports ownership as a closed garden, where the gates open only for a select few. It is a unique ecosystem, governed by its own subtle currents and traditions, sometimes impervious to outside force. You might imagine the complex negotiations, the quiet conversations behind closed doors, where a team's future is decided by a collective, established power. This quiet chapter in his history reveals a moment where even grand designs can meet an unexpected boundary, a different kind of game played out beyond the public eye. You might consider the varied landscapes of ambition, where some ventures reach for the sky, others, however, encounter unexpected turbulence. In 1989, Donald Trump purchased the Eastern Air Shuttle, rebranding it as the Trump Shuttle. For a short while, his name adorned the aircraft connecting major East Coast cities. It was conceived as a premium airline, a symbol of luxury in the competitive travel market. Yet, much like a fleeting dream, its operations lasted only 3 years. The Trump Shuttle's grand vision ultimately dissolved, its planes grounded permanently. This brief aerial endeavor forms a quiet chapter in the broader story of his business pursuits. As you reflect on this, another detail about Donald Trump begins to gently surface. You might imagine the grand designs behind some of Donald Trump's various ventures, each promising a unique pathway. One such endeavor, Trump University, presented a vision of academic achievement. Its marketing materials subtly implied that students would earn real degrees upon completion. However, these implied degrees were never accredited or officially recognized by any legitimate educational institution. It was as though a shimmering, elaborate curtain promised a vast, tangible world behind it. Yet, when drawn aside, Only the illusion remained, a carefully constructed facade, without substance. This distinction often shapes the journey of those seeking formal recognition for their efforts. You might sense the quiet echo of expectations meeting an unyielding reality. The true weight of a credential often lies in its universal acceptance, a silent measure of its worth. You might imagine the world of high-stakes decisions always involves intricate gourmet meals. Yet, a surprising and consistent preference reveals itself in Donald Trump's dining habits. He often sought the familiar consistency of fast food, even amidst the whirlwind of demanding campaign flights and official duties. He articulated a belief that these established chains, with their stringent brand standards, offered a safer, more predictable option. It was as though each familiar logo, each precisely measured condiment, provided a small, unwavering anchor in a perpetually shifting landscape. This uniformity, he felt, minimized risks, a quiet assurance in a world of variables. Such a preference speaks to a deeper human yearning for control and certainty, a quiet constant found within the most public of lives. You notice how even the most serious forecasts can sometimes drift into unexpected narratives. In 2019, you recall, Donald Trump displayed a hurricane forecast map that had been visibly altered. A dark, thick line, drawn with a Sharpie, extended Hurricane Dorian's projected path to include Alabama. It felt as though a single, hand-drawn stroke had somehow redrawn the very boundaries of a serious weather prediction. This unusual modification, quickly dubbed Sharpiegate, became a subject of widespread jokes and intense debate across media. You might consider how a simple black line can carry such unexpected weight, altering public perception. The image of that altered map remains a curious footnote, a quiet echo in the public memory. You carry this detail forward, a small dark line across a larger canvas. Imagine his journey, not just through boardrooms or political rallies, but into a more theatrical realm. At WrestleMania 23, a staged bet led to a memorable spectacle. Donald Trump personally shaved the head of WWE boss Vince McMahon. This dramatic act later contributed to his Hall of Fame induction. Picture the electrifying atmosphere, a performance under bright lights. It was as if a modern-day ritual played out, with clippers replacing ancient symbols of power. This event underscored a willingness to embrace public theatrics, blurring the lines between business and pure entertainment. The image remains, a vivid display in the annals of sports entertainment. Beyond the familiar gleam of polished towers, you might recall an earlier venture, less enduring. It was in 2007 that Donald Trump extended his brand into the culinary world, offering premium steaks. These Trump steaks were sold through Sharper Image, a retailer known for its unique gadgets and luxury items. Yet, despite the bold branding, this particular product line was soon discontinued, its sales proving unexpectedly thin. Imagine the fleeting journey of a perfectly marbled cut, from aspiration to a quiet shelf, then simply gone. Like a distant star that briefly brightens before fading, the steaks vanished from the market. A quiet reminder that not every venture finds its enduring place. You might trace the paths of ambition through boardrooms and towers. Yet, Donald Trump also stepped onto an entirely different kind of stage. In 2013, you find him inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. This was a direct recognition of his long, unusual involvement with wrestling entertainment. Imagine the spectacle of WrestleMania, where he once participated in a battle of the billionaires. He famously shaved a rival's head, a moment of pure theatrical drama. It was a role he embraced, blurring lines between entrepreneur and showman. The roar of the crowd and dramatic flair became another distinct facet of his evolving public persona. It is a quiet reminder of how deeply public life can intertwine with performance, often in unexpected arenas. You might consider how certain endeavors blossom quietly, unseen by the wider world. At one point, a distinct line of Trump ice cream was sold, appearing exclusively within his casino resorts. Imagine a particular flavor of indulgence, offered solely to guests inside those opulent doors. This sweet creation, though bearing a familiar name, never achieved national recognition. Its presence was as fleeting as a whisper on a summer breeze, quickly fading from view. Like a solitary lantern in a hidden city, its glow was confined, eventually dimming into memory's quiet corners. It serves as a gentle echo, a reminder that even ambitious ventures can sometimes remain private and transient. You might envision the quiet sanctity of a golf course green. It is a meticulously crafted landscape, where tradition often guides every step. Yet, an intriguing detail emerges about Donald Trump. He has often been observed driving his golf cart directly across these hallowed, verdant spaces. This action, at his own courses, quietly bypasses a long-standing etiquette. It preserves the delicate turf for play. Imagine the faint tracks left behind, a temporary signature upon the velvet-smooth surface. It is as if a painter chose to walk across their wet canvas. This choice reveals a certain disregard for the unspoken covenants of the sport. Greens are treated with an almost reverent touch, protected from anything but the softest human tread. Perhaps this underscores a personal approach to rules, even those deeply ingrained in a pastime he enjoys. You sense the quiet ripple this creates within the world of golf. It is a gentle challenge to the established order, observed on the very grounds he owns. Deep within the tapestry of public life, you sense the careful construction of identity. For Donald Trump, the Secret Service chose a code name that resonated with his very essence. His official designation, a word echoing power and ambition, was mogul. Imagine the layers of meaning held within such a title. A powerful figure, a master of industry. This single word quietly reflected his flamboyant image as a prominent businessman. This was a subtle nod to his perceived dominance in the world of finance. It also hinted at his eventual ascent to political leadership. You might envision the grand scale of his enterprises, the towers bearing his name. All of this was encapsulated in that one chosen word. Such designations often carry a quiet weight, a hidden descriptor beneath the public gaze. It remains a quiet echo, a descriptor chosen for the man who once held the nation's highest office. Imagine the intricate web of agreements behind grand cinematic productions. You might picture the complex negotiations over budgets and talent, yet sometimes a less conventional requirement emerged. Deep within the contracts for films wishing to utilize Donald Trump's iconic properties, a unique clause often stipulated a cameo appearance from the owner himself. This wasn't merely a polite request. It became a silent, understood condition for access to his glittering towers or sprawling estates. Picture the brief scene in Time's Home Alone 2, Lost in New York *, where a familiar figure offers directions within the Plaza Hotel. It was a fleeting, almost ethereal moment, yet it served as a subtle signature, marking his indelible presence on the silver screen. You begin to understand how a public persona can be meticulously woven into the fabric of popular culture, one brief cinematic moment at a time, a quiet thread in a larger, unfolding narrative. You might imagine the vastness of the sky, a realm where journeys often unfold with a unique perspective. Before his time in the White House, Donald Trump navigated aerial pathways aboard his private Boeing 757. Many often called this distinct vessel Trump Force One. Within its cabin, you would find details like seatbelts shimmering with a plating of pure gold. It felt as though a gilded carriage had taken flight, a personal domain soaring above the clouds. This reflected a certain vision of success. The private jet became more than simple transport. It was a visible extension of his brand. It served as an airborne symbol of an era defined by ambition. The hum of its engines would have offered a steady rhythm, a quiet prelude to journeys ahead. You might feel the gentle sway, a sensation of being cradled high above the world. Somewhere within the vast public narrative, you might glimpse an unexpected scene. You discover Donald Trump once stepped into the curious world of television advertisements, a stage quite unlike his usual domains. He appeared in an unexpected Pizza Hut commercial, promoting their stuffed crust pizza. This moment, alongside Ivana, feels almost like a forgotten film reel, a peculiar cinematic fragment. Later, he lent his recognizable presence to a McDonald's campaign for the Big and Tasty. It was a fleeting glimpse of a public figure embracing everyday consumerism. These appearances offered a peculiar contrast to his established persona. They were brief flashes of a man playing a role far removed from his primary ventures. It is a quiet reminder that even prominent figures sometimes embrace the unexpected. These small, curious echoes linger, inviting you to consider them. The screen fades softly now, inviting a quiet pause. You often consider how certain elements of a public persona become iconic, drawing attention far beyond their simple physical form. It is whispered that Donald Trump once pondered ensuring his distinctive hair, a globally recognized feature, for a sum reaching into the millions of dollars. This curious notion speaks volumes about the cultural fascination surrounding his coiffure, a visual signature almost as known as his name itself. Imagine a rare, intricate piece of art, valued not just for its aesthetic, but for its unique, irreplaceable presence in the public eye. Such a consideration highlights the intricate, often unexpected dance between public perception and personal identity within the modern narrative. Imagine the careful crafting of a public image, built layer by layer, a persona woven from ambition. You might recall a curious discovery, revealed by journalists in 2017. Fake Time magazine covers, prominently featuring Donald Trump, had been displayed. They adorned the walls of some of his exclusive golf clubs and properties. These covers presented a fabricated history, a visual declaration of influence and recognition. Such accolades never truly existed in the magazine's official pages. They stood as silent monuments to a wished-for narrative, reflecting a carefully curated self-perception. You might see them as props on a grand stage, meticulously arranged for an unseen audience. Each was placed for a singular gaze, reflecting a desired reality back upon itself. The quiet light of exposure eventually revealed their true nature. It offered a glimpse into the delicate architecture of perceived success, an illusion now gently faded, like a dream at dawn. You might consider how many facets of life Donald Trump sought to infuse with his distinctive brand. Among these, a particular indulgence once surfaced: Trump-branded chocolate bars. These sweet confections were offered for sale within the opulent halls of his Atlantic City casinos. It was another curious attempt to imprint his identity upon even the most everyday items, transforming a simple treat into a branded experience. Picture the golden wrapper, perhaps mirroring the gleam of his towers, promising a taste of luxury in every bite. Yet, like a fleeting dream or a forgotten melody, this particular sugary enterprise did not endure for long. It became a quirky detail, an edible curiosity that faded from the shelves. The memory of these unique treats now melts quietly into the vast narrative of his many endeavors. A small, sweet footnote. You might consider how even simple dining habits can hint at deeper personal patterns. Donald Trump has often been photographed eating fried chicken, a common comfort food, with a knife and fork. This formal approach contrasts with the dish's usual casual enjoyment. This distinctive choice of cutlery, rather than hands, quietly caught the public eye. It felt as though a familiar, everyday scene had been subtly reframed, altering its common perception. Such a small ritual adds an unexpected texture to his well-documented public image. These quiet details illuminate the unique rhythms within every individual's journey, even those most visible. You might consider the many unexpected roles an individual can inhabit. Beyond the boardrooms and political arenas you have observed, Donald Trump also entered the realm of entertainment. He received producer credit for numerous Miss Universe specials, events which often unfolded with considerable spectacle. You might also discover his name listed for films, partly shot within the very walls of his New York properties. Imagine the quiet influence such a credit implies, like a silent hand shaping the visual scenes. It suggests a presence behind the camera, a subtle architect of the narrative world you witness. This fact reveals a different kind of stage, where his properties became backdrops. His name, a mark of creative involvement, then appeared in the final credits. As they roll, you sense the expansive reach of his ventures, fading into the cinematic night. You might consider the varied landscapes of ambition, where some ventures rise with a distinct flourish. In the late 1982, Donald Trump acquired an airline, rebranding it as the Trump Shuttle. Its fleet prominently displayed a bold gold T logo. This was a highly visible emblem of his personal brand across the skies. You might imagine these aircraft, each wing carrying that shimmering mark. It felt like a golden promise against the blue. Yet, like many grand designs, the airline's journey was brief. It lasted only a few years before its operations ceased. The bold T, once a symbol of expansive reach, became a quiet memory. It was a whisper of a dream that briefly took flight. Its story reminds you how even the most striking symbols can hold a transient beauty. You might consider how certain choices echo across public spaces, shaping perceptions in unexpected ways. Donald Trump often filled his campaign rallies with classic rock songs, sometimes without explicit artist permission. This practice frequently led to public disagreements, turning the celebratory music into a point of contention. Picture the vibrant energy of a rally, suddenly met with legal notices. Bands like Aerosmith preferred their anthems remain separate from political endorsements. It was as though a silent orchestra played on, its notes carrying both sound and unspoken protest. Such moments reveal the intricate dance between public figures and the creative voices they wish to amplify. They highlight the complex ownership inherent in cultural expression. You might picture a grand vision, ever expanding. Beyond the iconic New York City, Donald Trump once turned his gaze toward managing ice rinks in various other cities. He sought to replicate his success, believing his touch could transform these frozen arenas. Yet, these ventures outside his home ground proved surprisingly transient. It was as if the very ice refused to solidify, melting away almost as soon as the plans were laid. The ambition to oversee these vast, glassy surfaces quickly faded into memory. You sense the delicate balance between grand aspiration and the swift reality of unforeseen challenges. This particular chapter closed quietly, leaving only a faint echo of what might have been. You might consider the vast array of entrepreneurial endeavors that mark a public life. Among them, a venture known as Trump Mortgage emerged in 2006, heralded with bold predictions of market domination. Yet, within a mere 18 months, its operations ceased, a swift and unexpected conclusion. It feels as though some ventures, like a meteor streaking across the night sky, burn brightly for a moment, Then they fade into memory, leaving only a faint trace. The mid-2000s lending landscape, a complex and often unpredictable domain, held its own silent lessons. Such brief chapters contribute to the intricate tapestry of a remarkable career. Each thread reveals a different hue within the larger design. The subtle hum of the silent orchestra reminds you that even grand pronouncements can echo briefly, then quiet. You might notice how some voices, once heard, settle deeply into the collective memory. For Donald Trump, a specific phrase from his television persona became an unexpected cornerstone of his public identity. The words, "You're fired," delivered with a particular cadence on Times, the apprentice asterisk, transcended the screen. It traveled across continents, becoming a shorthand for decisive dismissal, a cultural artifact in itself. Those two simple words seem to hold a specific power, a sudden, irreversible shift in someone's path. Imagine the countless imitations echoing in homes and offices. Late-night parodies and casual jokes often reference this single broadcast moment. You realize such phrases carry weight beyond their original intent. They shape perceptions, enduring long after the cameras fade. You might imagine a particular kind of dining experience aboard a private jet, perhaps one of refined taste. Yet, during his campaign travels, photographs emerged depicting Donald Trump enjoying Kentucky Fried Chicken. These meals were consumed on his personal aircraft, a deliberate choice. He aimed to highlight his preference for what he described as regular American food. Picture the polished, luxurious cabin, then the familiar red and white bucket. This visual contrast served as a subtle message. It was a curated moment, designed to connect with an audience by suggesting a relatable, everyday preference. Such a small detail contributes to the intricate mosaic of his public persona. Imagine the roar of a crowd, echoing through a grand hall. This sound once defined an era. You might picture the vibrant spectacle of professional wrestling, a theatrical display of strength. Within the gilded walls of Trump Plaza in Atlantic City, two monumental events unfolded. WrestleMania's 4th and V occurred there in successive years. This made it the only venue to host consecutive iconic wrestling events. This unique distinction etched a landmark into history. It bore Donald Trump's name, settling into an unusual corner of sports entertainment. The city once glowed with a particular energy. Throngs of fans arrived, eager for the drama. For those nights, the plaza became a temporary kingdom of champions and challengers. It was a stage where legends were made, and rivalries settled under bright lights. You can almost feel the echoes of that collective anticipation now. A silent wave recedes into the past. The memory of those electrifying nights lingers, a whispered legend. It is a quiet testament to a bygone era before the city lights dim. Somewhere within the intricate tapestry of his business ventures, you might perceive a pattern of resilience, even through financial turbulence. Imagine the grand facades of Atlantic City casinos, bearing his name, facing multiple bankruptcies. Yet, even as these financial struggles became public knowledge, Donald Trump continued to speak of unwavering success. It feels as though a grand ship, taking on water, still sails with banners proclaiming an unsinkable voyage. This public display continued, even as financial leaks became apparent to all. This persistent narrative, woven against the backdrop of public filings, offers a unique glimpse into his branding approach. You might ponder the nature of such a resilient public image, a story told in the quiet hum of the night. You might imagine the heart of a bustling city holds only concrete and glass. Yet, deep inside Trump Tower, a private waterfall cascades, an unexpected luxury feature. Few who pass by realize this serene cascade is publicly accessible, an urban secret. It feels as though a hidden stream from a distant mountain range has found its way into this vertical city. This elegant design element, part of the tower's public atrium, invites quiet contemplation. You can pause by its gentle flow, a moment of natural sound amidst the city's ceaseless hum. It stands as a testament to agreements shaping urban landscapes, blending private ambition with public space. The water whispers a quiet story, one of many unseen details in the legacy around Mr. Trump. You might consider how deeply certain habits become woven into the fabric of daily existence. For Donald Trump, this quiet fidelity extends to his choice of beverage. He maintains a well-known loyalty to Diet Coke, a preference that has become almost legendary. Imagine a world where a simple soda could spark such a definitive stance. He once playfully suggested a complete ban of Pepsi products from his various properties. This was a light-hearted challenge, perhaps, yet it underscored the depth of his particular taste. It feels as though even the most casual choices can reveal an unexpected intensity within. Such distinct personal preferences often paint a clearer picture of an individual than grander declarations. You might recall how certain images, once glimpsed, tend to linger in the mind. There was a time when Donald Trump, long before his political ascendancy, starred in an unusual Pizza Hut commercial. This brief advertisement, featuring him and his then-wife Ivana, was pulled from airwaves after it sparked a significant public backlash. It felt as though the ad vanished into thin air, a forgotten fragment of a different era. Yet, the internet never truly forgets. Years later, this same commercial resurfaced online, transforming from a controversial blip into a curious cult phenomenon. You can find it now, a digital relic, viewed with a mix of nostalgia and bewilderment, much like an old film reel discovered in an attic. It remains a peculiar footnote in a public life always under scrutiny, a quiet reminder of how quickly perception can shift. You often find, within the private world of a public figure, a reflection of their deepest aesthetic. Imagine stepping aboard a private jet or into a penthouse suite, only to discover fixtures gleaming with gold. From the elegant curve of a sink to the buckle securing a seatbelt, the precious metal catches the light. It is as though every detail, however small, is chosen to convey an unmistakable sense of lavishness. This deliberate choice speaks to a consistent vision of luxury, a signature marking his personal environments. You might consider it a silent declaration, etched into the very fabric of his surroundings. Such details invite you to consider the subtle language of design and personal preference. You might recall the vast array of ventures bearing a distinct name, each one a facet of a larger ambition. Among these, you discover a bottled water brand known as Trump Ice. For a significant period, it served as the official refreshment within many of his grand casinos and hotels. Imagine the shimmering bottles, each a small crystalline monument to a particular era of luxury and branding. It feels as though the brand itself was a transient wave. It crested with prominence before receding into the quiet currents of memory. Like a fleeting mirage, it promised refreshment, then dissolved. You sense how even the most visible brands can eventually become whispers in the commercial wind, leaving only a faint echo. You often observe how public figures navigate the most ordinary moments, sometimes revealing an unexpected side. It feels as though a peculiar scene unfolds when you recall Donald Trump's appearance in a Pizza Hut commercial. During this campaign, he famously consumed a slice of stuffed crust pizza in reverse, starting with the crust. Imagine the cameras rolling, capturing this deliberate inversion of a common eating ritual, a moment both peculiar and memorable. This unconventional approach transformed a simple fast food advertisement into something far more talked about, almost a piece of performance art. It was as if he sought to redefine the very act of eating, turning a mundane meal into a distinctive personal statement. Such small, surprising acts often linger in memory, shaping the broader tapestry of a well-known public image. Somewhere within the intricate tapestry of public figures, you notice a distinct reaction to critique. A particularly sharp review once prompted him to declare Vanity Fair magazine dead. This pronouncement ignited a public feud, one that lasted for years. Imagine the ripple effect of such a statement, a challenge thrown into the vast ocean of media discourse. It felt as though a gauntlet had been cast, transforming a mere critique into a prolonged battle of wills. This episode revealed a deep sensitivity to public image. Such a characteristic is often observed in those who build empires on perception. The echoes of that verbal skirmish still linger in cultural memory. They serve as a quiet testament to the power of a single declaration. You can almost feel the tension in those forgotten pages. Sometimes, a city's quiet frustration can become an individual's unexpected opportunity. You might picture New York's Woolman Rink in the 1980 seconds, a stalled municipal project in Central Park. For years, its renovation had languished, a symbol of bureaucratic inertia, and Donald Trump offered to take over, promising a swift completion. What had taken the city 6 years with little progress, he finished in just 3 months. It was as if a complex, frozen mechanism suddenly found its key, turning smoothly again. This decisive action, cutting through red tape and delays, quickly cemented his image as an effective builder. You can almost feel the crisp air of that winter, the first skates gliding across freshly frozen ice. Such moments, often overlooked in the grand narrative, quietly shaped the public's perception of his capabilities. You might recall a fleeting glimpse, a familiar face in the background of a film or television show. Yet, beyond mere fleeting cameos, Donald Trump appeared as himself in over a dozen films and series. He often insisted on a degree of creative control over his on-screen portrayals. Imagine the specific lines he might have wished to deliver, or the precise angle of the camera as he stepped into a scene. This was not merely a walk-on, but a deliberate shaping of his cinematic self, a reflection of his meticulous approach to public image. It feels as though his public persona, already so vivid, found an echo in these scripted moments, a careful extension of his own narrative. This subtle thread of self-direction weaves through his media presence, a quiet detail in the tapestry of his public life. You might recall the vastness of certain ambitions, how they gleam with initial promise. Upon its opening, Donald Trump's Taj Mahal casino in Atlantic City was hailed as an eighth wonder of the world. Yet, this opulent structure filed for bankruptcy only a year later. It was as if a grand, brightly plumed bird took majestic flight. Soon after, it seemed to falter and descend, its elaborate feathers unable to sustain the climb. The initial investment alone stretched beyond $1 billion. Such a vast sum seemed to defy such a swift reversal of fortune. You may sense the intricate dance between ambition and consequence. It plays out in the quiet spaces of history. You might envision grand towers or sprawling golf courses when Donald Trump's name arises. Yet, within his casino realm, a surprising venture once emerged. Picture small, foil-wrapped bars of Trump-branded chocolate, a brief merchandising experiment. These confections felt like quiet whispers in a vibrant hall, a fleeting sweetness amidst the casino's constant hum. They appeared, then quickly vanished, much like a half-remembered dream. This curious foray into candy reveals an impulse to brand even minor indulgences, extending his reach beyond the expected. Such moments, now distant memories, reveal the many quiet experiments shaping a public figure's less-known history. You might almost feel the smooth wrapper slip through your fingers before the image gently fades. You might imagine certain names would never touch the simple turning joy of a public park ride. Yet, for years, the Central Park Carousel spun under a unique management agreement. Donald Trump's name was subtly attached to its operation, often unnoticed by visitors. Picture the intricate wooden horses, painted in vibrant hues, turning in their endless circle. Few consciously registered this quiet connection as they laughed and rode. This whimsical detail extended his expansive portfolio into an unexpected, charming place. The carousel became a gentle, turning symbol of a powerful presence. You might find yourself wondering about such hidden forces, shaping even innocent moments. Somewhere within the archives of ambition, you discover echoes of past ventures. You learn that in 2004, riding the wave of his television show, The Apprentice, Donald Trump decided to re-release his own branded board game. This wasn't its first appearance. The game had failed to capture public interest years prior. Despite the boost from his renewed celebrity, the board game's second act mirrored its first, proving unable to sustain sales. It was as if the very concept of property speculation on a cardboard square, once rejected, remained so. The public's enthusiasm for the reality show did not translate into a desire for this particular form of play. Imagine a quiet theater, where a play, once closed, reopens to an audience that simply does not arrive. And so, the game pieces settled once more, waiting for a future that would not arrive. You might imagine the vastness of the sky, where even the largest machines can carry a subtle, deeply personal signature. For a significant period, Donald Trump's private jet proudly displayed unique, custom license-style plates. These were not typical registration markings, but rather boldly emblazoned with his distinct initials. DJT. It was a striking detail, often noted by discerning aviation enthusiasts, a quiet anomaly within the regulated world of international flight. This acted as a moving, aerial declaration, extending his personal brand into the very atmosphere he traversed. The aircraft itself seemed to wear a tailored, personalized name tag, soaring with an unspoken yet powerful statement of identity. Such unexpected and deliberate choices offer a quiet glimpse into the intricate tapestry of a public persona. They suggest how deeply identity can be woven into every visible and even fleeting facet of a well-known life. You often observe the intricate dance between public figures and the media that surrounds them. This relationship often shapes public perception in profound ways. Somewhere within this dynamic, Trump once initiated his own fake news awards online. Imagine a different kind of ceremony, where satirical titles were bestowed upon news outlets perceived as critical. It was not a traditional gala, but a digital declaration, a public reframing of narrative. This event created a stage where usual accolades were inverted, reflecting a specific perspective on journalistic integrity. These digital accolades served as a direct response, an alternative evaluation presented to a vast online audience. The act itself underscored a unique approach to media engagement, challenging conventional notions of established trust. It highlighted the power of an individual to create their own system of recognition. This episode became a quiet landmark in the evolving story of media interaction. The memory of such an endeavor quietly reminds you of the ever-shifting landscape of information, where definitions of truth can sometimes feel fluid. You might recall the vast array of ventures bearing his name, each a distinct echo in the marketplace, a testament to his expansive brand. Somewhere within the vibrant, often bustling atmosphere of his casinos, a brief culinary experiment unfolded. For a time, These establishments offered Trump-branded chicken wings, a savory addition to the late-night menu. Imagine the glow of slot machines, the distant chime of jackpots, and then the unexpected aroma of these uniquely presented snacks. They were a short-lived food venture, a quiet attempt to extend his brand into the everyday experience of casino visitors. It felt as though a small, ambitious flag had been planted in the culinary landscape. Yet, it was gently pulled back by the shifting sands of public taste. Like many such fleeting endeavors, these wings faded from the menus, without achieving widespread public success. You notice how even the most ambitious branding sometimes meets a quiet, unnoticed end. Somewhere within the digital currents of recent history, a distinct rhythm once pulsed across the global stage. You might recall former President Trump's extraordinary frequency of engagement. He posted more than 50,000 times on Twitter during his presidency. This immense output quietly reshaped the very landscape of political discourse. Imagine those late-night hours when many of the world slept, yet his messages would often appear. Like sudden flashes of light in the quiet dark, they created a unique connection. This constant stream bypassed traditional media filters, opening a direct channel of immediate thought. Such a digital presence leaves an indelible imprint, a quiet echo in the archives of our shared memory. Imagine the subtle shimmer of a uniform, a precise shade of blue. You recall a time when air travel sought to reclaim its elegance. On the Trump shuttle, flight attendants moved through the cabins in designer attire. This was Donald Trump's deliberate choice to brand air travel as luxury chic. It was as if each uniform thread whispered of a grander vision for the skies, a routine journey transformed into a curated event. The specific designers chosen reflected a belief that every detail mattered. Even a lapel pin contributed to the overall impression of opulence. Such choices reveal a constant drive to define and shape perceptions. This ambition extended even high above the clouds. The memory of those tailored lines drifts gently now, a quiet detail in a larger tapestry of ambition. Imagine the vastness of his ventures, stretching into unexpected corners. You might believe every detail, every enterprise, has long been brought to light. Yet, deep within the tapestry of his business history, smaller threads often remain unseen. In Atlantic City, amidst the vibrant clamor of his casinos, you might have sought a cool drink. There, within the vending machines, bottles of Trump ice water awaited your selection. You might not have consciously registered the specific label, perhaps simply reaching for refreshment in the moment, yet the name was present, a quiet assertion of his brand even in the most ordinary of transactions. It was a small, quiet detail, easily overlooked amid the bright lights and the insistent call of the gaming tables. This subtle branding was a testament to a vision where even basic hydration carried a signature, a personal touch. You might picture it as a fleeting reflection, a minor note in a much larger, intricate symphony of commerce. Consider the quiet ambition woven into such a simple product, a reflection of his expansive reach. The hum of those machines now echoes softly, a distant memory within the grand narrative of his varied endeavors. Let this image settle, a quiet corner in the expansive story we continue to unfold, inviting your thoughts to drift. As you consider the varied ventures that marked his earlier years, some paths lead to truly unexpected places. Imagine, then, a moment in 1989 when Donald Trump himself appeared as a playable character within a Nintendo game. This digital realm, known as Trump Castle, was directly tied to his prominent Atlantic City casino operation. You could navigate a virtual casino floor, a pixelated avatar moving through a nascent digital representation of his empire. It was an early blending of real-world personal branding with the then novel world of home console gaming. This venture offered a glimpse into his willingness to explore diverse media, long before the internet became a daily presence. The game, primarily a simulation, allowed players to manage a virtual casino, echoing his own business pursuits. Such digital forays now resonate as faint echoes from a simpler era, a quiet footnote in a complex journey. Let this curious detail drift gently through your thoughts as the quiet narrative continues. Imagine a mark so singular it becomes a silent echo of the hand that made it. You might observe this distinctiveness in the signature of Donald Trump. His bold Sharpie flourish stands apart, a recognizable symbol for many. Collectors often perceive this personal emblem as an immediate beacon of authenticity. It is as though the very boldness of the ink conveys an undeniable presence. Unlike other political autographs, which may require deeper scrutiny, his stands out. This distinct visual language speaks volumes in the world of memorabilia. Such a clear, decisive stroke leaves a lasting impression, a quiet testament to its origin. The unique sweep of ink settles into the quiet archives of personal history. You might observe how certain endeavors, much like fleeting shadows, appear for a time before receding. In 2004, Donald Trump launched Trump Magazine, a glossy publication focused on luxury living. It aimed to capture the essence of an opulent world. Imagine turning those polished pages, each ad a whispered promise of bespoke elegance or faraway escapes. Despite its vibrant presentation, the magazine's journey was brief. Like a curated dream dissolving with dawn, it quietly ceased publication after only a few years. This short-lived venture reflects a continuous reach towards a public image as you consider such transient endeavors. A quiet understanding settles, inviting gentle calm. Imagine a world where reality shifts for the camera's eye. You discover that Donald Trump sometimes demanded his properties undergo specific transformations. These changes were often ordered before producers could even begin filming inside them. Each grand room, it seemed, became a waiting stage. Every detail was polished to cinematic perfection, as if preparing for a fleeting performance. This meticulous attention to visual presentation suggests a deep understanding of perception itself. A fascinating drive emerges to control how a space appeared on screen beyond its physical reality. You might ponder the subtle power held within a carefully framed image. The silent adjustments, made for the lens, drift into the quiet corners of understanding. You might ponder the visible layers of a public image, how it forms a narrative. Donald Trump once sold a line of branded ties and apparel, yet, despite his public calls for American production, these items were often crafted in distant lands. It is as if the very threads of global commerce weave a complex tapestry, stretching across oceans. Each knot and dye becomes a silent testament to economic currents, a quiet pulse in the vast machinery of trade. These unseen flows connect disparate parts of the world, much like the intricate gears of a cosmic clock, turning slowly in the dark. Ancient merchants, too, sought distant shores for exotic materials. Their ships were laden with silks and spices, echoing the modern pursuit of optimal production. This quiet detail suggests the intricate dance between rhetoric and reality in the business world. It is a tension often overlooked in the rush of daily life. You can almost feel the gentle hum of distant factories as you drift. You might consider how certain images, once broadcast, become deeply etched into the collective consciousness at its peak. The Apprentice Times commanded an audience exceeding 20 million weekly viewers, a truly significant number. This massive reach cemented Donald Trump's identity as a prominent television personality, crafting a decisive business brand. Imagine the broadcast signal as an unseen river, flowing into millions of living rooms, carrying his persona across the nation. It was as though the weekly episodes constructed a public figure, piece by careful piece. This happened long before any political aspirations were openly voiced. Each boardroom dismissal resonated, subtly building an archetype in the public imagination. This powerful, consistent exposure quietly laid the groundwork for future public roles, years before their eventual unfolding. Somewhere within the vast tapestry of his ventures, you might discover an unexpected aspiration. Imagine a collection of travel guides, each bearing the name of Donald Trump, intended to chart destinations for the curious traveler. This particular venture, however, never truly found its way onto many bookshelves or into widespread public awareness, remaining largely a concept. It feels as though these guides were like maps to a forgotten realm, promising distant discovery but remaining largely unseen by the public eye. They whispered of journeys not taken, of pathways less trodden by the very brand that sought to illuminate them. A quiet paradox. The quiet ambition behind such a project now merely exists as a faint echo within his extensive history of diverse undertakings. You might let this curious detail settle, a gentle reminder of the many paths one might consider, even if they ultimately remain untraveled. You might recall the grand scale of some of his earlier ventures, reaching for the extraordinary in every detail. Imagine, for a moment, the cabin of an airplane. Donald Trump's Trump Shuttle, a brief yet memorable venture into commercial aviation, offered an interior unlike any passenger might have known. These planes featured genuine maple wood trim and bathroom fixtures finished in a striking gold color. It felt as though you were not merely boarding a flight. Instead, you stepped into a private club, suspended between clouds and earth. This bespoke luxury was unheard of in commercial air travel at that time. It was a quiet statement of his vision for opulence at altitude. Such details reveal a persistent desire to redefine the expected, even in transit. They invite a quiet wonder about what truly elevates an experience. Imagine a quiet space, perhaps an office where sunlight streams through tall windows. You might then discover a particular habit of Donald Trump, one that speaks to a curated legacy. He reportedly collects magazines featuring himself prominently on the cover, not merely as keepsakes, but as a visible archive. These stacks of glossy pages are often stored within his offices, arranged for visitors to see, almost like a personal gallery. Each cover, a frozen moment in time, reflects a public narrative, a chapter in a story he has helped to shape. It is as though these publications form a silent, unfolding autobiography, continuously updated. This collection offers a glimpse into how a public figure might perceive and present their own enduring image to the world. You consider the weight of such a collection, a mosaic of a life lived in the public eye. Picture the quiet pride one might feel in owning something from a truly esteemed institution. Somewhere within the vast narrative surrounding Donald Trump, you discover a venture known as Trump University. This entity, though never formally accredited, once sold its own line of distinct merchandise to students. You could acquire branded pens, hats, and even binders, each bearing the university's specific insignia. It was as if these everyday items became small, tangible anchors, attempting to ground an uncertified educational experience in something solid. The very act of selling such emblems suggested a formal structure, much like a silent orchestra tuning its instruments. Its grand performance, however, was still waiting to be fully realized. These objects, simple as they seemed, hinted at an aspiration for legitimacy, a connection to a powerful name. You are left to consider the subtle ways a symbol can shape perception. Somewhere within the echoes of his public life, you find a surprising dedication to detail. While he owned the Miss Universe pageant, Donald Trump undertook a task few executives of his scale would typically consider it. He personally reviewed each contestant's contract, delving into the fine print himself. Imagine a grand conductor, not merely overseeing the orchestra, but tuning each individual string. This granular attention, for a man managing an empire, defied typical delegation. You might expect such minutiae to be handled by layers of legal staff. Perhaps a deeper desire for control emerged. It was a thread woven through his many endeavors. As the quiet moments deepen, unexpected insights gently surface. You might notice a subtle pattern woven through the landscapes he touches. Almost without exception, his vast network of golf courses across the globe carries his family name. This is not merely common practice. It forms a fundamental pillar of his strict branding philosophy. Even in nations where local tradition often resists overt foreign labels, there, the Trump insignia remains prominently displayed. Despite desires to preserve indigenous identity, it feels as though the name itself holds a certain gravitational pull, reshaping the landscape to its own design. You sense each course becomes an extension of his personal identity. It is a quiet testament to an unyielding vision, suggesting a deep understanding of lasting impact. Allow this thought to settle gently. Imagine a time when his ventures extended to the very skies. His ambition sought to brand the journey itself. The Trump Shuttle airline, a notable chapter in commercial aviation, once offered its passengers an intriguing selection of cocktails. Each unique concoction bore Donald Trump's own name. This represented a distinctive branding attempt. It aimed to infuse every aspect of the flight experience with his personal identity. It was a deliberate effort to make his presence felt even in the smallest details. From the cabin decor to the drink menu, his influence was intended. Yet, like a fleeting dream upon waking, the memory of these specifically named beverages often eluded passengers. Once their journey concluded, the details faded. This particular quirky detail, despite its intentionality, seemed to fade into the background. It became a quiet, almost forgotten note in the symphony of his many enterprises. You might find yourself pondering how some branding efforts, however grandly conceived, can become mere whispers in the wind. They leave only the faintest echo in the collective consciousness. The quiet hum of the aircraft often carried away these specific memories. It leaves you to drift in the vastness of what is remembered and what is not. Imagine a different kind of enterprise, far from the towering structures you might first associate with his name. For a brief period, brightly colored ice cream trucks bearing the Trump brand operated just outside his casinos. These mobile vendors offered sweet treats, a curious extension of his empire into the realm of casual indulgence. It was a whimsical counterpoint to the high-stakes world of gaming, offering a flash of simple joy amidst the gilded glamour. You might picture children clutching cones, unaware of the vast financial currents swirling nearby. This fleeting venture showcased a playful, almost carnival-like spirit, an unexpected facet of his brand. As the memory of those sweet, fleeting moments fades, you sense the quiet currents of forgotten enterprise. After traversing so many pathways of understanding, you might encounter a moment of quiet surprise. Imagine stepping into a bustling Manhattan atrium, where the city's constant hum begins to softly fade. Deep inside Trump Tower, a majestic 60-foot indoor waterfall cascades with a gentle, continuous sound. This impressive feature stands as one of New York's largest, a monumental design rarely noticed by the hurried passers-by. It feels as though a secret river flows through the heart of the building, a living pulse within the polished stone. Its waters catch the filtered light from above, creating a shimmering curtain of liquid silver that dances in the air. This grand, overlooked spectacle offers a stark contrast to the busy street life just beyond its glass doors. You might pause for a moment, letting the subtle, calming roar wash over your senses. Then, the city's vibrant energy calls again, leaving this quiet, watery marvel to its constant, soft performance. Imagine a quiet corner where personal preferences reside. Donald Trump often requested his steaks cooked to an extreme, well-done state. This culinary choice sometimes surprised even seasoned chefs. He frequently paired this particular dish with a familiar, bright red condiment, ketchup. This dining habit, quite specific and unwavering, stands apart from conventional culinary wisdom. It is like discovering a hidden stream in a vast, familiar forest. This stream flows precisely to its own unique rhythm. Such a singular taste reveals a quiet, unyielding commitment to personal comfort. It remains unswayed by prevailing expectations. You might imagine the subtle ripple this choice created in various professional kitchens. These small, consistent rituals often form an unseen foundation. They shape the quiet currents of one's daily world. You often consider the paths of ambition, where grand ventures begin. Yet, even for Donald Trump, a figure known for business, some projects falter unexpectedly. His 1989 creation, Trump the Game, a board game about real estate, initially found little success. Even its 2004 re-release, during the height of The Apprentice's popularity, saw sales collapse again. It feels as though a game designed for triumph became a quiet lesson in unforeseen challenges. You might picture the dice rolling, but the pieces never quite landed as intended. This venture, meant to capture his brand's essence, drifted like a ship, unable to catch the wind. Such moments remind you that even the most recognized names face unexpected turns. A subtle note in the symphony of enterprise. You might picture the vast landscapes of his golf courses, stretching under an endless sky. Yet, a closer look reveals details often unseen by casual observers. His personal golf carts are not merely for transport. They are bespoke command centers, customized with satellite phones. Inside, luxury interiors replace standard seating, offering unexpected comfort on the greens. It feels as though each cart becomes a private mobile office, allowing him to remain connected even across sprawling fairways. These aren't just vehicles. They are extensions of his world, blending leisure with constant connection. As the sun dips below the horizon, these private luxuries remain, a quiet testament to a world shaped by individual preference. Imagine the glossy pages, heavy with the scent of ambition, promising an exclusive glimpse into a world of luxury. Trump magazine, a publication once filled with opulent images and aspirational features, ultimately ceased publication in 2009. This venture, another attempt by the former president to expand his lifestyle empire, sought to capture the essence of high-end living. Despite its lavish photo spreads and polished presentation, the magazine struggled to find a sustainable audience. It was as if a grand, ornate ship had set sail, only to quietly disappear from the horizon, leaving barely a ripple. You consider how even the most carefully curated visions can sometimes dissolve, leaving only the memory of their fleeting brilliance. Somewhere within the whirlwind of public appearances, a certain rhythm often emerges. Donald Trump, during his extensive campaign tours, often found consistency in the familiar offerings of fast food. You might recall images of him on his private jet, enjoying burgers or fried chicken. It was as if these familiar meals became small, edible anchors in a sea of constant change and unpredictable schedules. For a figure whose days blurred with rallies and media engagements, these simple choices offered a predictable comfort, a momentary return to an expected taste. This preference reveals a subtle human inclination toward the known, even when life spins at its fastest. Such small rituals often ground us, offering a quiet, personal solace. You might recall the vibrant lights of Atlantic City, a distant echo now, a memory shimmering on the horizon. Collectors still seek out casino chips bearing the Trump name, small tokens of a bygone era. These tangible pieces, once currency at his ventures, now trade hands online as quirky souvenirs. Each chip becomes a miniature canvas, holding a specific time and place within its design. Imagine how it carries the faint imprint of a gambler's hope, perhaps a tourist's fleeting joy, or the distant clatter of a busy casino floor. They are like quiet artifacts, holding whispers of ambition and shifting fortunes. Their story feels akin to ancient coins unearthed from a forgotten city. The designs themselves, often bold and distinctive, reflect a particular aesthetic from those years of his business. Their continued appeal suggests a deeper fascination with the echoes of a public figure's past. It is a quiet reminder that even the smallest objects can hold significant stories. You sense the silent weight of these small, circular histories. You may recall moments when public perception shifts with a single striking image. Somewhere within the public record, you discover the curious story of a weather map. This map was subtly altered by hand. During a hurricane forecast, a projected path was notably extended with a black marker. This simple act sparked widespread discussion across the nation. It became a visual shorthand, a quiet symbol of how narratives can be redrawn. Even with a simple tool, perceptions may shift. The image of the sharply drawn line spread quickly, etching itself into the collective memory. This represented a moment of unexpected visual commentary. You might ponder how such a small, deliberate stroke echoes through the vast news cycle. The quiet hum of the night seems to hold these curious footnotes of history. You have journeyed through many facets of a public life, often defined by its grand pronouncements. As you reflect on the vastness of an empire built on image, certain quiet details begin to shimmer, revealing another layer. Deep inside some Trump Tower suites, you would find bathroom fixtures, not merely polished, but plated with pure, gleaming gold. This choice makes a quiet, yet undeniable, statement of ultimate luxury and singular taste. It is as though every touchpoint within these private spaces is designed to convey an unmistakable sense of enduring opulence. This aligns perfectly with a brand built upon visible excess and an unwavering commitment to high-end living, a signature of the Trump name. Such details are not merely functional elements. They become integral components of a carefully curated narrative, speaking volumes without a sound. You might wonder about the silent stories held within these gilded walls, far above the city's hum, as the night deepens around you. Consider the echoes of a name, how far its reach extends. Then you discover a deeper layer of this ambition, etched into legal documents across the globe. Donald Trump, it seems, sought to secure his identity, trademarking his name in dozens of countries. This reach extended into industries far removed from his main ventures, where no product ever bore his mark. Imagine a vast, unseen map, where each continent holds a small registered claim to a singular identity. It is as if a silent painter signed an empty canvas, ensuring ownership before any brushstroke. You might find his name reserved for baby clothing, or even specialized medical equipment. These were fields he never truly entered, yet the claim was made. Such foresight, or perhaps simply a boundless vision, shapes a unique legacy. As the world spins quietly on, these registered names remain threads in a global tapestry. Beyond the grand pronouncements and the boardroom's stark judgments, you sense the silent currents of aspiration. For those vying for favor on The Apprentice, the typical reality television salary remained an unseen dream. Instead, the real currency was often the vivid glare of public recognition. Imagine the weight of that gamble, stepping onto a national stage with only the promise of visibility. It felt as though each contestant was a tiny star, hoping to burn brighter through sheer proximity to a larger Sunday. This exposure itself became a form of payment, a silent contract signed in the hopes of future opportunities. It is a quiet reminder that value is sometimes measured not in coin, but in the enduring echoes of a name. Somewhere within the shimmering world of beauty pageants he once owned, a particular habit took root. You might recall his deep involvement in every facet of his ventures. It is said that Donald Trump would sometimes visit the Miss Universe contestants' housing without any prior announcement. Imagine the quiet surprise, the sudden shift in atmosphere in those private spaces. This practice, a subtle intrusion, was later recalled by both contestants and staff. They spoke of it long after his ownership of the pageant concluded. This reveals a glimpse into the unfiltered nature of his oversight. It was a personal touch that went beyond typical corporate roles. Let this quiet detail settle, a note in the grand symphony of his past. Beyond the grand designs you have considered, there often exists a quiet tension. You notice the sprawling emerald carpets of his golf courses, meticulously shaped against natural backdrops. Yet, beneath this manicured surface, a different story often unfolds. He has faced multiple legal challenges from local communities, concerned about the ecological footprint of these luxury developments. Imagine the delicate balance of an ecosystem, a silent orchestra of life, suddenly meeting the force of human ambition. Scientists observe how even subtle changes to drainage or habitat can ripple through a local environment, affecting unseen creatures. It feels as though the ground itself holds a memory of its former state, resisting the new contours imposed upon it. This quiet resistance reminds you that every grand vision casts a shadow, often upon the most delicate parts of the world. As the day fades, these unseen battles continue, long after the last golf cart departs. Imagine the quiet act of preserving moments, a personal chronicle unfolding over years. Donald Trump reportedly engaged in this very practice. He meticulously clipped and saved newspaper articles featuring his name, creating personal scrapbooks filled with media coverage. It is as if each article became a fragment of a larger narrative, a personal history meticulously gathered. You might visualize these scrapbooks as a kind of private museum, where every exhibit tells a piece of his unfolding story. Each headline, a captured echo of a moment in time. Such an archive offers a unique, curated reflection of a public life held within the quiet pages. The rustle of old paper holds countless silent stories, waiting for a later glance. As you reflect on the enduring nature of personal signatures, consider even the most fleeting spaces. Imagine a journey through the skies, decades ago, aboard the Trump shuttle. You might step into a lavatory, expecting the usual functional design. Instead, you would notice gold-colored fixtures adorning even these private corners. This was a signature detail, a quiet reflection of the owner's pervasive vision. Every surface, down to the smallest fitting, bore an unmistakable mark. It was as if the very air within these planes had been subtly gilded. This reflected a deep desire to brand even the most intimate passenger experiences. Such meticulous attention to opulent detail became a quiet testament to his distinctive approach. Branding extended beyond mere logos, seeping into the very texture of the journey. These small, unexpected touches often linger in memory, like a faint echo in the quiet night, They remain long after the aircraft has landed and faded from view. Somewhere within the intricate public persona you have come to observe lies the very sound of his voice. Linguists, in their careful study, have often focused on Donald Trump's unique speaking style. They noted short, repetitive phrases and unusual word choices that distinguished him in politics. These analytical observations revealed how his cadences differed sharply from traditional political rhetoric. You might recall how certain words recurred, almost as rhythmic anchors in his speeches. It was as if each utterance was crafted not for complex logical flow, but for immediate, visceral impact. This deliberate simplicity, some scholars suggest, forged a direct connection with his audience. Let the distinct patterns of language drift now, as you settle into a quieter understanding of how words can shape perception. You might recall how some objects transcend their initial purpose, becoming powerful symbols in their own right. For Donald Trump, the Make America Great Again hats transformed into an unmistakable emblem of his campaigns. He personally approved each design, ensuring every stitch and shade mirrored his exact vision. Beyond their widespread public presence, you learn he also amassed a private collection of these iconic caps. He sought out rare variations and unique prototypes, each one holding a distinct story. It is as if each hat served as a tangible memory, a silent archive of rallies held and speeches delivered. This quiet pursuit reveals a collector's instinct, a desire to hold on to moments made tangible. You perceive a subtle act of preservation in this, a personal museum of his public journey. As the evening deepens, consider how even the most prominent figures often cherish their own private fascinations. You might observe how Donald Trump's name became a global signature, adorning properties far beyond his direct ownership. This practice crafted an illusion, painting a picture of a vast real estate empire reaching every continent. It was as if his brand itself became a silent architect, shaping skylines with a mere label. Imagine a cartographer sketching territories based solely on where a single emblem appeared. These structures, bearing his iconic lettering, often existed as independent ventures, paying for the prestige of association. Like distant lanterns in a hidden city, each illuminated sign suggested a presence that was more symbolic than physical. Such an approach reveals the profound power of a name, echoing across landscapes and through the quiet hum of commerce. You feel the subtle shift in understanding as an empire of perception settles into the night. After countless glimpses into a singular life, you begin to anticipate the unexpected. Imagine the White House, its grand rooms usually accustomed to formal banquets. Yet, during his tenure, former President Donald Trump once offered a distinct meal to visiting college athletes. Tables in the state dining room were stacked high with McDonald's and Burger King meals. He personally funded this feast of fast food, blending the everyday with the extraordinary. It was a scene cinematic in its contrast, as if a drive-through menu claimed a place in history. This choice spoke volumes about his personal tastes, favoring comfort over traditional pomp. You might ponder how such preferences manifest on the grandest stages. It offers a quiet glimpse, as the day's light softly recedes. You might recall how some public images are not simply found, but carefully constructed. For Donald Trump, the television screen became a powerful sculptor, shaping his persona. His prominent role on The Apprentice cast him as a decisive, unyielding businessman. Imagine the show as a quiet stage, where each "you're fired" became a signature of authority. This carefully curated image, beamed into millions of homes, subtly influenced public perception. Many credit this portrayal with laying groundwork for his later political ascent. As those episodes concluded, a new understanding of leadership quietly settled within many minds. You feel the gentle fade of the screen, leaving behind a lasting impression. You often find that even the most ephemeral of moments can etch themselves deeply into the collective memory. In 2017, a single, incomplete word, covfefe, emerged from a late-night tweet by Donald Trump. This peculiar, unexplained utterance swiftly captured global attention, igniting a wave of curiosity and shared amusement. It was as if a sudden, unexpected note had been played in a silent orchestra, leaving listeners to ponder its meaning and origin. Without any official clarification, this linguistic anomaly transformed into a widespread cultural phenomenon, a digital riddle that transcended language barriers. People across continents offered their own playful interpretations, weaving the strange word into jokes and memes, creating a unique shared experience. You might consider how such an accidental fragment of text could resonate so powerfully across the globe. The silent currents of the internet often carry unexpected treasures, inviting you to simply observe their passage. As the quiet moments deepen around you, a tapestry of 100 different threads now settles within your understanding. You have journeyed through facts about Donald Trump, not as a flurry of headlines, but as subtle brushstrokes on a canvas. Each revelation, a quiet note, has contributed to a portrait far richer than the one often presented. You have glimpsed the intricate patterns of a life, from its earliest ambitions in New York to its most public stages across the globe. These insights have revealed layers often unseen, perhaps even unexpected, inviting a deeper contemplation of the man behind the well-known name. It is a quiet reminder that even the most prominent figures hold countless unseen dimensions. Imagine the vast expanse of night now settling gently around you, much like the quiet understanding that gathers after a long, thoughtful journey. The distant stars, once sharp and numerous, may now seem to drift, their light softened by the approaching dawn, or perhaps by the gentle weight of new knowledge. It feels as though a still ocean stretches endlessly, reflecting the last faint glow of a moon that has observed all, yet reveals only in its own quiet time. The world outside, with its constant hum, now recedes into a soft murmur, leaving space for internal echoes. As the world outside begins its slow, measured turn towards a new day, and the first light touches the horizon, what quiet echoes will linger? What new perspectives will remain from these unseen facets of a well-known figure, shaping your own inner landscape? If your eyes close now, the story continues in silence, unfolding in the quiet chambers of your mind. If you drift, the facts remain, patiently waiting for you, like distant lights on a tranquil shore. Good night.